All right, for fear of sounding like a machine like I did in previous videos, we'll see if we can have a little bit more fun with this one. It's not terribly exciting, but welcome to learning how to run a gel and take images of it. So hopefully this will be as exciting for you as it is to me. Yay! So of course the first step is to find all the pieces. Hopefully you can see what I've got here and locate them. They should be in a drawer somewhere. Where that drawer is at time of viewing, I have no idea. But as you can see here, what I'm doing is taping the ends of the tray. That just keeps the gel in place. There may be other ways to do it. I've been told there are other ways to do it, but I like the taping method as it makes a nice small gel and it's not too messy. It's pretty simple, quick and easy. So we just tape the ends, make sure it's sealed so you don't get extra in the groove. It's not an issue if there's extra agarose in the groove. It just is something to, I don't know, it's just extra, not necessary. So go ahead and avoid that part. Once you've got the ends taped, you can go ahead and stick the comb inside the gel mold. And as you can see there for a second, I kind of pointed out how wide the bottom of the comb was. Put the wider end in, that just gives you a lot more room to put the liquid solution into the slot to go ahead and run that gel with. Now it's time to prep the agarose solution. So you can see there I've got my agarose powder and I'm pulling out the little tray to weigh it in. I guess to get the mass in, however you choose to describe that situation. Anyways, in order to make a small gel like this, a 3% agarose, of course, we clear the machine to make sure that you're not weighing the boat as well. Anyways, you weigh in 1.5 grams of agarose for one of the small gels, and you double that, double everything for one of the bigger gels. All right, now that we've got our powder mix, we're going to take the 1 times TAE solution, which you can make from the 10 times TAE solution, and we're going to measure out 50 milliliters of that, and the mixture of that with the agarose will be the foundation of our agarose gel in order to run our DNA or RNA, DNA for what we do, samples. Now you can see here that I'm pouring the powder agarose first into the Erlenmeyer flask, which, by the way, has been marked as used for ethidium bromide, which is very important. Use that only for making agarose gels with ethidium bromide because ethidium bromide is carcinogenic, at least. That's among just one of your worries with that particular situation. Anyways, I find that pouring the liquid in on top after helps to make kind of disperse the powder or just make it mix a little bit better. Now, once you've poured it in, you swirl it around a little bit, get it as mixed up as you can. And I've also found that you can go ahead and let it sit even for a couple minutes. That'll help it dissolve a little bit better in preparation for microwaving it and mixing it all up. Now, here you can see my technique for basically oven mitts, but with paper towels. You get 2 paper towels, fold them like so, and you can wrap that around the mouth of this sized Erlenmeyer flask in order to protect your hands from the very, very hot liquid and glass following the microwaving process. Here's the microwave. Now I'm putting it in the microwave. I just microwave it for 30 seconds at a time. Use my magic little paper towel oven mitt, pull it out, swirl it around. It normally takes 1 or 2 or 3 30-second periods for a gel that's this small. It takes more obviously when you're making the big gel because it's twice the solution. But anyways, the goal is when you pull it out and swirl it that there's bubbles, but there's not little floaty thingies in the solution. So it's a transparent solution, as perfectly transparent as you can without evaporating all of the liquid out and turning it into a gel in the microwave. So I'm not quite there. This last one, now it's been 3 30-second periods. This last one I go for maybe 10 or 15 seconds to just kind of finalize it. At least that's been how it works in my experience in order to make sure that you are good to go with that gel. Now you can go ahead and bring it back to the bench. This is the ethidium bromide. extremely careful, again, be extremely careful with this substance. You add the same amount in microliters of ethidium bromide, or the same number as you did grams of the agarose powder, which is 1.5 microliters of ethidium bromide with 1.5 grams of agarose powder and 50 milliliters of the 1 times TAE solution. Anyways, be very careful with this whole process. I like to remove my gloves immediately following using the ethidium bromide. I use one hand, as you can see, to unscrew the lid, and very carefully put that little drop right in the center of the agarose gel, at which point I immediately dispose of that tip and my gloves in the dangerous things box. I re-glove and take my little oven mitt and swirl that around. You want to make sure that the ethidium bromide gets swirled around nicely so as not to cause streaks in the gel where only some portions of the staining will actually show up. Pour it nice and evenly. There will be bubbles. I find that if I push it up against the combs as much as I can, that will push the bubbles down towards the other comb and have less probability of interfering with how the samples run in the gel. And once you've done this, you can just go ahead and wait for it to cool. All right, let's pretend that it's been 45 minutes to an hour. The gel is cooled. You have removed the tape from the ends and stuck it in the little gel running tray. I am currently pouring in 1 times TAE solution, once again, which I flourished earlier. You want to add the TAE solution till the fill line, which you can see when you're sitting down and actually pouring said TAE solution. Next step, since you've got your samples next to you, you've got your pipette tips and everything, you're going to go ahead and take, normally for gels that I would run 10 microliter to 20 microliter samples at a time. Most of the samples have 25 milliliters after running a PCR. And so by running 10 microliters, which I never had issue with showing up, after running 10 microliters per sample inside the gel, I generally had enough to see the bands, and if something went wrong, I could go back and use the same sample PCR result with the extra 15 microliters without having to run a whole new PCR, which is really handy. So you can see here some of the technique as to how I suck up the solution with the pipette set to 10 microliters and very so carefully stick the teeny tiny tip of that little itty bitty pipette right in that slot there. Very slowly eject the solution from the pipette tip. You want to avoid bubbles because bubbles will get in there under the solution that you're putting in and it will blow it right out the top, and then you can have contamination across slots in the gel. And then you never really know which band is which because you've had contamination. So go ahead and fill each of those slots with your solutions. I like to just move my solutions up a row after I've done it so that I know that I've done all the solutions. Sometimes it can be confusing to stick them in without having labeling on the gel itself, so make sure you are paying lots of attention. Now you'll go ahead and take the ladder, the gel running ladder, which is a 100 base pair DNA ladder. You go ahead and I stick that in the leftmost slot. I call that the first slot in case that's been confusing previously. Another 10 microliters of that, and stick that in the first slot. If you're running gels in both comb slot rows, if that makes sense, then put a ladder on each row so that you can reference well. Just make sure that you've got reference ladders because, for example, you can see in this gel, I'm not actually running anything in the lowermost row of slots in the gel, so it wasn't actually necessary to put that comb in. Anyways, I did it. If I were putting samples in there, I would go ahead and add DNA ladder to that as well. So here I'm adding the lid to our fancy dancy gel running machine. Run to red, meaning you put the samples away from the red and the electricity will make it run to the red direction from negative to positive. you can see how to turn on the little machine. You can twist that knobby in order to adjust the voltage, and the voltage we have set for this is 120 volts. After the gel has run, you can go ahead and remove the lid. You will get into practice as to telling when the gel is done. Normally, about 40 minutes works. Go ahead and take it out. Of course, remove the electricity. Take it out, set it on the paper towels, bring it into the imaging room. Push that button, turn the imaging machine on, and of course, wait for it to boot up. You want that little tray over there in the corner. That's what you're going to put the gel on in order to take the image. Now, once this first page boots up, go ahead and tap anywhere on the screen and it will bring up a list of users. Go ahead and find your user or whoever's account you're using on the machine. Open the tray thing. It does pull down. There are ample warnings not to break it by pulling where you shouldn't. Put the little tray thingy on there. Apply the gel to the tray. You can put the gel on the tray with it sitting there or just on the counter or whatever. It's totally up to you. Slide it off there. You want to make sure there's not any little bubbles actually under there, so lift up the gel just a little bit, slide it around, make it center, make sure that there's not any bubbles. Go ahead and slide it back into the machine, close the door, at which point the little button in the corner will turn green. Yay! Push the green button, wait for it to load forever. It doesn't take forever, and we got to appreciate the machines. Now it's set to image for UVs with lithium bromide, so make sure you've got that, or else that's not going to work either. Anyway, you wait for it to load, take the image. They turn out to be great images, really, really cool, very clear, and you will see that in just a second. I have sped this up for us, for our purposes, as I have many things. Looky, such a pretty gel. You can see the ladder. I like to turn off the red stuff, I guess. Don't know what it is, can't remember right now. Once you've got it, you can log off and then just hit the power button. You're good to go as far as that's concerned. Take the tray back out, put the gel back in the gel running tray, rinse off the imaging tray with distilled water, and put that back up where it goes above the imaging machine. If your pictures turned out good, you can go ahead and toss that lithium bromide gel in the bad things box to keep you safe, and then go ahead and rinse stuff out. This is the distilled water. You can pour the TAE down the drain, go ahead and rinse everything, and set it upside down to dry off. Rinse the tray, and once you've got this cleaned up, wait for stuff to dry, and you are good to go. Congratulations, yay!